welcome to Go for Two Sports. Today we're here with the Week 3 NFL review, and let's just jump right into it. We had another crazy week in the NFL, and we're going to review it all game by game. Thank you for joining me, and let's get right into it. Starting off here with the New York Giants taking on the Cleveland Browns. The New York Giants are going to squeak by here with a win, 21-15 for the Giants. The defense just looked absolutely great, able to hold Deshaun Watson to he had the 2 touchdowns in the game, but he did not look good in that game. A bunch of pressure for the Giants. They were able to sack him, a bunch of times. And Deshaun Watson, on a lot of those sacks, it's not even the offensive line that's letting up and accounting for these sacks. It's Deshaun holding the ball for so long, and he doesn't get rid of that ball, and he just takes these ugly sacks sometimes. But the Giants come out and they look like they didn't want to win the game on the first play. They run the kickoff out of the end zone, and they fumble on the very next play, and then the very next play after that, the Browns score a touchdown with Amari Cooper receiving touchdown in the end zone. And just like that, the Cleveland Browns were off to a hot start, but the Giants rallied, and Malik Neighbors had a couple really nice touchdown grabs, and including one grab along the sideline. He just reached right over a guy and just mossed it from him, just took it right from the dude. But yeah, great play from Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones. He had an interception called back, but he was other than that, he was relatively safe with the football today, and they looking like they can get this out of him every week, and they may be a pretty good football team. Brian Burns had a good game on the defense. The defensive side, let's see his stats down here. Brian Burns had a good game, and just the entire defense. This is the first time all season we've seen them mesh as a unit. But all right, over on the Browns side of things, Deshaun is horrible. Deshaun is just bad. It doesn't help that his offensive line isn't great. The offensive line giving up a bunch of pressure. Pretty banged up. The entire team's pretty banged up. There's no running game whatsoever. They're waiting for Nick Chubb to get back. Faithfully waiting and patiently waiting for Nick Chubb to come in and just revive this run game for the offense. And yeah, not much else to talk about on this one. Giants win 21-15 in a game that honestly you'd probably fall asleep to. All right, moving on. We got the Green Bay Packers at the Tennessee Titans. It was the Malik Willis revenge game. Malik Willis comes out and looks awesome. The best game he's had as a pro so far. 202 yards and a touchdown, 120 quarterback rating. He just looked like he showed Tennessee exactly what they were missing after they drafted him and let him go after only 2 short seasons. Malik Willis also had 73 yards and a score on the ground as well, and just torched this Tennessee defense. It was all Green Bay from the start. Never looked like Green Bay was in any type of danger to win this game, as they're going to win 30-14. Couple blown coverages from a good secondary that the Tennessee Titans have. So that's unlike them. Not much pressure from the Titans defense. They haven't been able to get sustained pressure throughout the season so far. But overall, the defensive unit as a group has looked really good. And this game was just an anomaly. They just didn't look very good this game. So, the Giants going to win it. And they sacked Will Levis a whole bunch of times. The Titans, they're going to have to figure it out on the defensive side of the ball. They were leaning on it, and now they have, problems on the offensive side, no running game whatsoever. It's just 6 rushes for 14 yards for Tony Pollard. That's their lead back. They gave him all that money, and this is all they're getting. A 2.3 average is very bad. But no running game to even help Will Levis, and Will Levis just not playing complimentary football. And Will Levis has got to stop turning over the football. We've seen a lot of just ugly turnovers from Will Levis that make your coach just scream, What are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? Like, Will Levis, Maybe it's the mayo. He needs to stop putting mayo in his coffee and just drink it black like a real man, and just see if that will help him out so that he can stop turning the football over. All right, moving ahead here to the Chicago Bears at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts going to sneak away with this one. The Bears just have to get over the inconsistency from Caleb Williams. He looked good at times during this game, going through his reads, finding open receivers. But then the other times during this game, it was atrocious. The two ugly interceptions, a bunch of missed reads. He took a couple sacks that were his fault. And he got good replay out of his receivers. And the defense played pretty complimentary football. They didn't have bad field position all game, but the running game was not very much there. Caleb couldn't stay consistent, and the defense just one sack if I remember correctly. Yeah, one sack from Montez Sweat, the only player that's been able to generate any type of pressure this season. Yeah, the defense is still lacking in that department. But this Bears team shouldn't lose hope yet. They still have a lot to look forward to. Caleb Williams is this is just his third pro game, and he needs to continue to grow and learn from mistakes and get better. And this Bears team should just be all right. Sip my drink here. All right, and moving on to the Houston Texans taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Texans were the strong favorites and come in and shit the bed. The Texans just couldn't get out of their own way. C.J. Stroud, just 2 interceptions. He didn't look consistent. There was times in this game where he looked like he had it all figured out, and then other times where it's like he looked like he did back at Ohio State. Not to say he didn't look good at Ohio State, just, less mature, less pro-ready. Brian Flores' defense for the Minnesota Vikings, he's got them boys playing, let me tell you. He's got them boys locking down some of the top offenses in the league, and no one thought that this defense would be this good coming into the season. The offensive playmakers for the Vikings all come together, and this is without Jordan Addison, the first-round receiver from last year. He is suspended currently, and Justin Jefferson have a huge game here. Jalen Naylor had another nice game, grabbing another touchdown, and Aaron Jones with a monster performance. The Vikings are sneakily 3-0. We're going to see if they can keep their momentum going, and we're moving on. We have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New Orleans Saints. All right, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the New Orleans Saints. The Jalen Hurts show is not going well this season. Jalen Hurts at times looks like the old Jalen Hurts, and then at other times looks like the even older Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts looks very inconsistent, and it's causing problems in Philly. But Saquon Barkley is here to save the day. Philly fans should rejoice in knowing that Saquon Barkley is carrying their offense right now. Dallas Goedert came alive really late in the second half. 10 catches, 170 yards off 11 targets. Him and Saquon really had to step up going into the game. They were without star receiver A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith had to leave the game in the second half due to a nasty concussion that he got. But Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley were able to step up in the absence of Smith and Brown, and they come away with the win. It was very late in the game. Yeah, first quarter to the fourth quarter, the scoring gap, it was 3-0 very late in the game, and then both teams kind of raced to finish the game out, and Philly comes out on top. New Orleans unable to get much going except the one touchdown to Chris Olave, and New Orleans just come back to earth. They averaged 45.5 points through the first 2 games, and that's 40 points scored in 3 games straight, dating back to last season. The Saints offense was clicking. And they were down to come back down to earth eventually, and here we go. They come back down to earth. Derek Carr didn't have a good game. That Eagles defense had him in a box, even though they didn't have many pressures. Just the one sack from the Saints defense, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just the one sack. Jordan Davis, the Georgia man. But yeah, Derek Carr just couldn't get much going. Alvin Kamara couldn't find the end zone. He had a good game, but he just couldn't find the end zone, and averaging 3.3 per run, even though he had over 127 all-purpose yards. 3.3 a run on the ground. The Saints really needed to rely on that run game, and the Eagles just weren't having it. And that takes us to the Chargers taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going into this game, Herbert was a game-time decision. And during the game, he tweaked his ankle again, so he had to come out of the game. And the quarterback problems from there for the Chargers just didn't do them any favors. Taylor Heineke, he started a playoff game before once in his career. He comes in, doesn't get much going, though, only attempted to throw the ball 2 times. They really relied on the run game, and it didn't look like it did through the first 2 games of the season against this Pitt defense. Quentin Johnston looked okay, had another touchdown. Not much going on offense. The defense kept them in this, but the offense just couldn't do them much favors. On the Pittsburgh side of the thing, the pass rush for Pittsburgh, maybe the best pass rush we've seen in a couple of years. Headlined by T.J. Watt, who, let me tell you, he only got 1 pressure and 1 sack all game. But he chose the perfect time, 3rd down, you need a big stop, he just goes in, instant win, over uncontested, just right to the quarterback, and just gets an instant sack. T.J. Watt is just conserving his energy, just waiting for the right time to pounce. And he pounces and gets his 1 sack. But the rest of the defense, coming through looking very solid and consistent. Not letting this Chargers offense do much, even though they were banged up. And that's going to result in a Pittsburgh win, 20-10 over the Chargers. And we're moving on to Denver. As Denver plays the Buccaneers, and they won 26-7. Bo Nix had his first decent game as a pro. Still no touchdowns, though. Caleb Williams is the only rookie quarterback to have a passing touchdown before Monday Night Football. Jaden Daniels plays tonight, so we're going to see how he can do there. But for this Denver team, Bo Nix, no turnovers. No turnovers. Bo Nix, that's what you need to see. You need to see the no turnovers from Bo Nix. He had a couple ugly ones through the first couple games of the season, and this is just one of the things that we needed to be fixed. And we see that. So the running game for the Denver Broncos was non-existent through the first 2 games of the season, and yet the running game is looking good today. Bunch of yards. The rookie Bo Nix, 47 yards on the ground, and a touchdown. Just a good all-around game from Bo Nix. Just played complimentary football throughout. The defense looked great. Kept the Bucs in bad field position all game. Didn't let the Bucs get much going, so the Bucs weren't able to mount a comeback in this game. They kept it fairly out of reach for most of the game. It was 26-7. Denver wins over the Bucs. For the Bucs, Baker come down to earth. He had a good 2 games of the year, but now, the interception, only 163 yards. Couldn't find much, just a bunch of check downs and dump offs underneath. Just the defense was not allowing much. The run game looked okay for the first time this year, which was odd because the first 2 games of the year there hasn't been much of a run game, and the Baker Mayfield, has gone off. But now that they actually have a run game, Baker Mayfield just can't get it together. I don't understand. But another good game from Chris Godwin, the Rod God, and yeah, that's his first name. Yeah, Rod Chris Godwin. All right. Defense didn't look good. Couldn't generate any pressure. The offensive line allowing 7 sacks onto Baker. I mean, granted, a couple of them he did. He held on to the football too long. He didn't get the football out on time. They were his fault. But most of them sacks were on the offensive line, as the Bucs just never had a chance in this one. 26-7, all Denver, and we're moving on to my beloved Carolina Panthers taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. And let me tell you, as a Panthers fan, this may have been the greatest game I've seen in a couple of years. Just all around, pure joy from start to finish. Andy Dalton comes out, has the huge first half, 3 touchdowns, and then finishes the second game off. Second half off, no mistakes. 26 for 37, over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's the first quarterback to do that this season. And, it makes you think. The Panthers just benched Bryce Young. He did not look good the first 2 games of the season. Hell, he didn't look good last season. And, the consistent idea online was that Bryce Young had no help. Like, pray for Bryce Young. He has no help, no offensive line. Nada. Nah. Andy Dalton just put those rumors to rest. Our offensive line is ranked top 5 in the league through the first 3 games of the season and showed it last night. Our receivers, top 10 in the league in separation, and they showed it last night. The Raiders just couldn't keep up with the Panthers. The Panthers just looked like a real football team. Everything was clicking. The offensive line just gave up only a handful of pressures to Andy Dalton, just a couple of sacks. The offensive line got a huge push and accounted for, allowed Chuba Hubbard to go over 100 on the ground. Andy Dalton just played great football, just marched the ball down the field, and played mistake-free, and the Panthers just looked great. And for the Raiders, this game, although the score was 36-22, it was a lot less close than it seemed, because the Raiders got a string of a couple drives late in the game, but it still was never. It was all Panthers. Max Crosby was basically a non-factor in this game. No pressures, no sacks. The right tackle for the Panthers, Taylor Moton, looked absolutely incredible. Silently becoming one of the best right tackles in the league, right in front of our eyes. Has been for a couple of years. Max Crosby, non-factor. The entire defense just couldn't get much going. And they benched Minshew because he looked bad. He couldn't get anything going, and they benched him late in the game for Aiden O'Connell after Minshew threw that interception. Aiden O'Connell comes in, leads a nice drive, goes down the yard, goes down the field, and scores a touchdown. And they're probably going to move ahead with Aiden O'Connell for the rest of the season. The Raiders just need to defeat Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers. They have 2 great playmakers, just not getting the football enough. I know Brock Bowers went to the locker room with a concussion protocol early in the second half, but before that and after that, when he came back into the game, just still not much going for their weapons there. But just all-around good performance by the Panthers, and they're going to take the dub 36-22, and we are moving on. We got the Miami Dolphins versus the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks going to run away with this one 24-3. It was really never in question going into the game. The Miami Dolphins had to start Skylar Thompson for the second week in a row, and that did not look good. Skylar Thompson was holding on to the ball. He was missing reads, displayed a lack of throw power, no velocity on his throws. He actually got hurt, and Tim Boyle come out, and Tim Boyle looked decent, but still just couldn't find any consistent success. Nothing going on the ground. Devon Achane only averaging 2.7, 11 rushes for 30 yards. No scores for anyone on the Miami Dolphins. Nothing through the air was going. Defense couldn't get any pressure. The O-line allowed 6 sacks. Like there's just not much more you can say about this Miami Dolphins team. They're just having their season ripped away from them due to injuries. It's just tough. But praying that Tua can get back on the field and get better and continue his career. Hope he is not done. For the Seattle Seahawks, they're looking like a dangerous team, man. They're looking dangerous. Geno needs to wrap these turnovers up. He needs to get these turnovers out of his system earlier in the season, because this team has the potential to go deep. They're missing their starting running back right now, and Zach Charbonnet on the ground looks amazing. 2 scores, 91 yards on 18 carries. Zach Charbonnet is the real deal. Over 100 scrimmage yards. When Kenneth Walker comes back, this offense is only going to get better. And the pass rush looked really good. Really good. Pass rush coming into the season was a question for the Seahawks team, but it looks like they are figuring it out by committee here. A bunch of players getting sacks. And secondary played great. Just an all-around dominant performance for the Seahawks. Miami couldn't get anything together. And the Seahawks are going to take this one 24-3. And just like that, we are moving on, being efficient here with time. We got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cowboys. The Ravens win 28-25, though this was not as close as it seems. Dallas tried to come back late in the game, couldn't finish the comeback. Dak Prescott just had no help here. Inconsistent play from him, but he also just had no rhythm on the ground. The offensive line is just giving up pressures. They couldn't do much, and then it didn't help that on the other side of the football, the defense couldn't get much of a stop throughout the majority of the game. The pass rush for the Cowboys was non-existent. Micah Parsons just basically was a non-factor. Had a couple of tackles and a couple stops here or there. Had only just one nice pressure, but didn't result in a sack. You're going to need to see more if you're going to make him the highest paid player in football. That's not a quarterback. Might I put that in there? For the Ravens, though, the two-headed monster of Lamar and Derrick Henry really showing out for the first time this season. Derrick Henry, 2 touchdowns, 151 yards, just added another 23 and through the air. He just looked insane. It just looked like, this is King Henry. This is what we expected when Henry signed with Baltimore. And then Lamar, almost 100 on the ground for him as well, and to score. And then, when you have 2 players that can just dominate the run game that well, and the offensive line is blocking well, and everything's moving in rhythm, there's a reason Lamar Jackson only threw the ball 15 times this game. Like he didn't need to. He didn't need to drop back 30, 40 times. He took what the defense gave him, and that was the running game, and the Ravens were able to run all over the Cowboys and move on to 3-0. Cowboys dropped to 1-2, a little bit worried. I think they'll turn it around. I think they will. But you got to be a little bit worried after not doing much in the offseason, paying all this money to CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott, and to just not get results right away. But we'll see how they do as the season progresses, and we are moving on. We got the 49ers versus the Los Angeles Rams. 49ers come out strong out the gate. Looked like they were going to have this one sealed all the way up. But then the Rams come storming back, just absolutely storming back, and steal the win. Brock Purdy had a huge game with missing CMC, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. He was able to find Jawan Jennings 3 times in the end zone, who had a huge Randy Moss-like game. Moss, the receiver, one time just had an absolute disgusting catch. Kyle Shanahan struggling again against Sean McVay to finish games. This is twice now he's played against Sean McVay and just haven't been able to hold on and maintain a lead and finish the game strong. Sean McVay just getting the better of him, even though his group, the Rams, are just absolutely injured. Their injury list is as long as their active list. Not really, but it feels that way. For the Niners, Nick Bosa was also a non-factor. I don't think he got any pressure or sacks this game. Yeah, no sacks for Nick Bosa. He didn't do much. For the Rams, they were able to, keep their composure after going down big, all the injuries. They kept their composure, and they come back in the second half. Kyren Williams, 2 touchdowns to set them up for the game-winning field goal. And the Rams win as time expires. 27-24. Yep, that's right. All right, we're going to move on to the Detroit Lions taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Detroit Lions are going to sneak away with a win 20-13. Just a low-scoring game here. Both teams unable to keep consistent play going. Detroit dominated the ground game, over almost 200 yards on the ground. Jared Goff didn't really look like himself. He had an off game. And the O-line looked very good, just getting a very good push on the Cardinals' defense for the run game for the Lions, and only allowed 2 sacks. Jared Goff only taking 2 sacks this game. And the Lions just looking like they can piece it all together and be a dangerous team. They're still one of the best teams in the NFC. And, screw that, the entire NFL. I think it was just an off game by Jared Goff, and we're going to see this group bounce back next week and look better. Even though they won this week, they didn't look great passing the football. But going over to the other side, the Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray. There was times in this game where he looked very well, looked like Heisman-winning Kyler Murray. And then there was times in this game where he looked like a Florida Anthony Richardson. Like just antsy, doesn't know where to go with the football, makes mistakes, misses reads. It was just consistent throughout the game with Kyler Murray not staying true to keeping the football in the hands of the Cardinals. But Kyler, just a bunch of mistakes. The Cardinals couldn't overcome them. Marvin Harrison, that Kyler to Marvin Harrison connect looks really nice. But Marvin Harrison had another nice game. The defense, there's just not much defense for the Arizona Cardinals. Not much pressure. The running game is absolutely abysmal. Cardinals got some pieces, but going to definitely need a lot more moving ahead if they're going to get much out of this football team. Just not much going on out in Arizona yesterday. Alrighty. But that's going to do it for the Lions and the Cardinals. We're going to move on to the last game of the night, Sunday Night Football, Chiefs, Falcons. Chiefs favorites coming into this one, and they cover. They win 22-17. Patrick Mahomes, he's Patrick Mahomes, all right? He's going to find a way to come out and win you the football game no matter what. But there was times in this game where he just did not look like himself. He had an interception thrown, and just a couple of plays where he just missed some throws. But other than that, he made the correct plays when they needed to be made. Kansas City was able to hold on to their lead late in the game, and they were able to sneak out another close win. The rookie Carson Steele went crazy behind this offensive line. The offensive line got a good push and allowed, if I remember correctly, 0 sacks. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 0 sacks. And, the O-line just dominated this game for the Chiefs and let the running back rookie do whatever he wanted. And Rashee Rice, monster game through the air. He's an absolute dog. Moving over to the other side, though, the Atlanta Falcons, Kirk Cousins. Some concerns for Kirk Cousins. Not only is his mobility a little bit not there because of the coming off of the torn Achilles last season, but Kirk Cousins' arm looks like it's taken a hit too. His arm is inconsistent, and he's just missing some throws. He's lacking a little bit of zip on the ball. He's just looking like an aging Kirk Cousins. Lack of run game on the ground was not doing Atlanta any favors. Only like 80 yards on the ground. You really want to be over like that 100, 120 mark in the NFL. But Bijan needs to just do more. They need to get Bijan more involved, give him better looks. Averaging 1.9 on the ground, that's not the Bijan Robinson that I know. Drake London had a great game through the air. Have him on my fantasy team, so that does me very well. Kyle Pitts needs to get more involved. Just 2 catches for 59, making the most of his 2 catches. He was targeted 5 times, so that's tough to see. The defense couldn't get anything going. The secondary looked all right. Justin Simmons has now picked off Patrick Mahomes in like 5 straight games against him. Justin Simmons just seems to have Patrick Mahomes' number. Nothing else going for the Atlanta Falcons defense. No pressure. No one really had a standout game, and that's why they let Kansas City win 22-17, and that will do it for all of the games from Sunday afternoon and night. We're going to move ahead and look forward to tonight. We have a Monday Night Football doubleheader. We have the Jags at the Bills. Both teams are relatively healthy. The Buffalo Bills are being favored by 5.5 points. For the Jaguars, they're looking to get their first win on the season. They haven't looked great so far this season. Trevor Lawrence has been inconsistent. He hasn't been able to find many targets. The rookie Brian Thomas is 141 yards, but only on 6 catches. They're not finding consistent enough connections through the passing game. The running game not doing much favors either. Only 96 yards from Travis Etienne through the first 2 games of the season. They're looking to turn that around tonight against the Bills, who have a decently... They have an all right run defense, I'd say. For the Bills, they're looking to continue their undefeated start to the season against the Jaguars. They have the advantage today, and I think that I will go with the Bills. Yeah, the Bills to cover 5.5. I think I said like 27-20 Bills, something like that. Yeah, 27-20 Bills. Yeah, 27-20. That's what I'm going to go with for the Bills to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars tonight in Monday Night Football. But I mentioned a doubleheader. We have another game on Monday Night Football, a new thing that the NFL is trying this year. I think they did a couple last year as well. You have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Washington Commanders. Rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels has looked all right through his first 2 starts. Hasn't been able to find the end zone through the air. Has a couple rushing touchdowns. He's playing safe with the football. That's what you like to see, not putting it in harm's way. But where you just want to see a little bit more out of the former number 2 overall pick. Joe Burrow started off slow week 1, got back into the swing of things last week against the Chiefs, was able to come up short. But 0-2 start for the Cincinnati Bengals. They want to avoid going 0-3 tonight. Both teams a little bit banged up. Emmanuel Forbes, starting corner for the Washington Commanders, is going to be out. And, yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Bengals. They're favored by 7.5. I'm going to go with the Bengals to cover 24-10. Give me the Bengals. Monday Night Football. And that will do it for our Monday Night Football preview. All right, thank you guys for joining me in this Week 3 review and Monday Night Football review. I'll be back here tomorrow on TikTok and YouTube to review Monday Night Football, and we're going to do a mock draft tomorrow. Mock Draft Tuesdays starts tomorrow here at Go for Two Sports. Thank you all for joining me. Like the video, comment what you think down below, subscribe, share, post notifications on so you know every time I release a video. And that's it. I'm done, and goodbye, everyone.